full screen mode. All right, so this was done on observation, but after an understanding of form and cross contour. We could probably assume that the center axis of the image is here. So we would have this orb. Let's start with it. It's one of the most straightforward forms that we've got so far. It would start to have cross contours that curve like so. Telling us about the nature of the form and the curvature thereof. And then parts of this would start to curve like this. All right. And then the thing about this eyelid is that it has a shelf. A little person could sit on this eyelid. So for example, you've got a little positive to a negative curve right here. Positive to a negative, positive, negative. And then you've got a negative that curves inward here because there was a sunken region, almost like a wrinkle that happened over there. So it's actually not until doing this that all of a sudden, oh man, it suddenly starts to make a lot of sense with the forms on the anatomy on this element. You start to see 3D. You start to see edges that didn't even know existed prior to this. So here is the eyelid. Here is the shelf for the top of the grid. Goes down. And this is just my eye. You guys' eyes may not have as many positive and negative turns in your cross contours given your age. So as you get older, you'll find that if you cross contour your form out, you'll be like, oh man, you know what? There's creases that didn't exist a while ago, especially once you hit like your mid-30s. All right. And so here, what's going on? Well, this is bright, so we've got a positive curve because bright things catch light and dark things push away. So shading is just pushing and pulling is what shading is. And you'll actually find the creases of the eye do this naturally if you start to draw wrinkles. Very helpful. All right, so let's take a look in this region over here. There is this large fatty deposit of soft tissue right above the eye, right where the temple starts over here. And so this is a crease, so this would go in and then starts to curve away from us. Almost got a secondary crease and a bump over in this area. And you'll notice that the shading is a lot more gentle over here. You've got a broader transition, a larger mass of value. That shows that in general, you've got a gentler curve with the surface. Now here, it's a darker mass, so this sinks inward. And over here, we've got the socket itself. Which is a major sunken recess. Usually when you're shading and you see an abrupt change in value, you've got an abrupt change in form that occurs right there as well. So you've got a little shelf right here. Actually, that's a crevice that goes in. That's a negative turn. I'm not going to finish this entire thing out, but just enough so you can kind of see the topography of the forms as we are drawing them and kind of understand why shadow shapes mean what they do, right? Because they represent that something is bulging, or they represent that something is sinking and turning under. All right, let's turn off the grid, or turn off the image and see what it actually looks like with just the grid on. Get a white background so we can actually see. There we go. So that would be kind of a 3D topography of the eye. And you notice that it does follow. It feels like things rise up and bulge out and turn under and sink under. Just kind of having that awareness of what it actually means when you see a shadow, you know, and it helps you identify those shadow shapes when you're looking at the eye, everybody. So that's a fun exercise. If you have a sketchbook, then maybe draw a cross contour grid like this and study the forms as you read them. And then in theory, we could pass this off to another artist and say, hey, light this, give it shadow, draw the different shadow shapes that you would see from this grid by itself. And theoretically, we'd be able to do that. All right, so hopefully that helped to identify shadows that you see and structures and forms that you would see in the eye itself. And for the remainder of the class time today, let's work on our project.